Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So I wanted to show you yet another project. Keep acquiring projects and not working on them, so I've got to change that here pretty quick. But this is a 1965 Dodge Monaco. I found this on Facebook Marketplace out of Idaho and just kind of had to have it. It's a pretty cool car. It's got a 383, does run and kind of drives. It definitely needs some love. I actually fully intended to drive this car home from Idaho, but unfortunately I had nobody that was available to go with me, so I had to trailer it, but I have driven it around a little bit. Couple cool things. The previous owners did already install a disc brake kit up front with power booster, everything. It does need a little bit of work, and they were getting ready to put discs in the rear, but there's nothing back there right now. So I'll be fixing that. I do have to say, look at the tail end of that car. That is just awesome. Those taillights are huge. Just beautiful, beautiful design. I'm gonna lower the car back down. It kind of has a cool stance. Problem is, the wheel wells have already been trimmed and everything. It's been raked that high, but the tires still rub the wheel wells. I have those gold Krager SSTs that are on one of the trucks that I'm actually going to be selling. We're going to put those Krager SSTs on this car and drop the back down so it sits level again. Something else really cool about this. Look at that dash. That thing is just gorgeous. Has a full console. This car was only built for 4 people and has an ashtray for every person. So back in '65, this was meant for 4 guys to get in and go smoke up a storm, apparently. It's pretty dirty in here, but that was a white pearl interior at one time. You can still kind of see it with the steering wheel. Just a cool car. Like I said, it's 383 4-barrel. See if I can get the hood open. I say that a lot, but anybody that has a Mopar knows how tricky sometimes getting the hood is. That Monaco. So the engine is pretty much stock, but I'm going to change that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do exactly, other than I just want to make it better, make it more fun, and make it a blast to drive. I mean, it already is. It's a lot of fun. Just in the little bit that I have driven it, it's just awesome. I mean, there's nothing like looking through that windshield and looking at that beautiful dash. There's more character in that dash than there is in a whole modern Honda Civic. Just really neat car. So anyway, I'm going to take you for a little ride. Really quick before we start it up, something I just absolutely love is the wing windows, but they are roller. I think that is so cool on these old cars. It's just so much character. Like I said, this dash is just really cool. Big round speedometer, all the other gauges over here. The radio even works in this car. This is the brights indicator, and it's the old Dodge indicator symbol. Well, let's see if it'll start up. Of course, the console shifter. Started getting a little bit sideways there on the dirt. This thing is just so cool. Love the blinker indicator over there. You might can see it lighting up. this car is going to be a lot of fun. So first things first though, getting those shackles swapped and the wheels swapped and get it back down to a level. I think it's going to make it look better, it's going to make it drive better, and we won't have the tires rubbing. So I'm going to have to look and see if there was any modifications for the shocks. I actually forgot to look at that. Then I've got disc or drum brakes off of a truck that I'm going to pull apart and put on at some point. There's going to be a lot of things done to this thing, but it's just going to be a fun driver. I don't like restorations. They're not as fun to drive. So I have the Monaco up on jack stands, as you can see. I'm going to swap the wheels out to the Gold Craigers and fix the rear suspension, lower it down a little bit, just so the car sits a little bit more level. But I'm going to show you real quick underneath the car how the rear suspension is and the reason I'm going to fix it. So first off are these shackles. So they're very old school and they can kind of look cool, but they don't offer any stability side to side, so they sway. I was going to replace them with some factory ones, but I think I'm just going to go to the top hole for now, just to see what it does. I have a feeling by the look of these leaf springs and the fact that they have helper springs front and rear, they're probably flat, need to be re-arched or replaced. Right now I just want to make it sit a little bit more level, put the different wheels on it. It does have air shocks. They look new, so I think that they have to do with the shackles. But those tires are so wide, which wouldn't be a problem on this car other than the offset. But there's really not a lot of room between the tire and the spring anyway. You can see there's a whole bunch up in the wheel well on the inside. If you did a spring relocate kit, you could fit those under there, no problem. But I've got those Gold Craigers with some narrower tires. I think I'll put them on, but I've got to play musical wheels. So I'll kind of show you what I have to do real quick. So these wheels are going to come off and temporarily go on the red truck. These wheels and brand new tires that I put on the red truck are coming off and going over onto that truck, which is Bob. This truck's being sold, so I'm going to put the other wheels, whoops, tripped in a hole. Put those other wheels with the brand new tires on it, and then my Gold Craigers, even though they're not in perfect condition, I think they'll look kind of cool on the Monaco, which is hiding behind the trees now. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is just pull all the wheels off of the Monaco and see where I get before it gets dark. So we've started working on it. We're going to have to pull the shocks because there's too much pressure. So it's putting a bind right here and I can't get the bolt to go through the rest of the way. Tech tip, be sure to get the little ones involved and teach them how to do this, because this is a great hobby for them and a lot of fun and a great thing just to know. And also always work safe and teach the little ones how to work safe. So I've got the back lowered. We just went to the top hole of the shackles. So I'll have to see how stable it is once I start driving it and whether I'll replace it with stock ones or just leave the ones that are on it. I will be cutting off the bottom so that it doesn't have that excess hang. But really, the stance is right about where I want. I mean, it looks pretty nice. Let me stand here so you can see the whole view. And it looks good. It's just nice look to it. Such great lines. And then the Gold Craigers, I think those Gold Craigers just fit on that car great. I love the gold with the green, the white. It's just enough of a set off. They're just awesome. And maybe someday I'll go with like spoked Craigers or something like that. But for now, this is what I have. And I really love these wheels. I've had them for a long time, and they've been on a lot of different cars. And they're super rare. But like I said, really enjoying that look. Still needs a lot of work. There's still no brakes at all on the rear, so I've got to do that at some point in the future before I actually drive it. Also, the disc brake kit that was put on it, for whatever reason, and I've got to look into it and find out why, the pedal, as soon as you touch it, it's full brakes. So I'm not sure if they even back off all the way, because they do drag once it gets warm, almost like the heat causes it to boil and makes pressure. So I can't really drive it too much. So I've got to look, a lot of things I've got to look over and figure out. It doesn't quite start and run as easy as it should. It cranks over really slow. I changed battery thinking that might be the problem. That's not the problem. So I need to look at the wiring and look at the starter, try to figure that out. Maybe I'll just get a mini starter, throw on there and see what that does. But gosh, I really, really like the look of this car. Man, just looking at it, it's beautiful. So I am going to do a tune-up on it to see if that will help with how it runs. I've got a different carburetor for it. I've got some Mickey Thompson valve covers I'm going to throw on it just for fun. I think I've got a couple different carburetors to try for now. I may try, I don't know. I'm not even going to say yet because I'm just not sure what I'm going to try. We'll find out here probably tomorrow. Also, I picked up something super cool for it that I'm not going to install just yet, because when you do a dual quad setup, the cheap part is the intake. Everything else is going to cost you. And I found a factory dual quad intake manifold. I've got a pair of 1405 Edelbrock carburetors that need rebuilt. I'm trying to decide if I want to rebuild those or just go with something different, something new. I don't know, but I really just want to do the dual quad more than anything for the look, just because how cool is a dual quad. It's going to definitely convert those tires into dust. But yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about these gold Craigers on the car and the looks of the car. I like everybody's feedback. It's fun. Anyway, I'm going to get going on the tune-up and whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of work here on the Monaco. You guys have kind of seen under the hood. I mentioned briefly that I've got to figure something out with the brakes, because it's like they're on all the time, and that's really frustrating. I'm not even sure what brand or what kit that was that somebody used, so I'm going to have to hit up Facebook and see if anybody knows what it is, post some pictures and whatnot, and see if I can get any information on it. That's one of the problems with buying other people's projects, so you never actually know. Anyway, so basically I think today I was going to do a full tune-up on it, but it's actually the wires look new, everything looks new. So I think I'm going to just probably pull the carb, pull the valve covers, and put the other stuff that I have on just for fun. And I'll show you what I have. So I also mentioned the dual quad, just sitting right there. That should be fun in the future. This is the carburetor I think I'm going to put on for now, just to see what it does. And I've got the Mickey Thompson valve covers. And I think I'm going to use the 1970 383 dual snorkel air filter assembly that I have, just because I have it and it's cool. Just because these wires are kind of cool too. I've got brand new in the box orange Mopar ones. I may throw them on just for looks, but we'll see how far I get. Right now it's just about the fun. I would like to make the car run better and drive better and start better. hopefully the carburetor will help it start better. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get set up and get started. So this is what I'm working with. These are vintage Mickey Thompson valve covers, like I already stated, and they're pretty dirty. They're used. They've been in storage for a really long time, kind of nasty. So we got to clean them all up. But one thing that these Mickey Thompson valve covers are famous for, other than looking cool, is leaking. So I'm going to go through really fast with just one of these little wire wheels on a Makita drill, and I'm going to go around and clean all of the rails up as good as possible. And then I'm going to go through afterwards and clean them really good, the inside of them, with brake cleaner or carb cleaner, and then wipe them out just to make it as clean as possible before I put the cork gaskets on. I've had good luck with rubber and cork. However, on the Mickey Thompson valve covers that I've used in the past, I've had better luck with cork. And as much as I hate to use a lot of silicone, when you put silicone on the valve cover side, put a sufficient amount. Let's just put it that way. I may not even put any silicone on the other side that go to the heads, but on the valve cover side, you definitely need to have a fair amount. Be sure to go around the inside of the holes really well. And then, just because I had them, I'm not a big fan of them. I've got these T-bars. I may leave them, I may not. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of them, but they kind of add a nostalgic look. So I'll probably use them for now anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and get these wire brushed out so I can get them installed. So I went around the rail with the brush, the wire brush. You can see how much cleaner that is. So I'm hoping doing that and adding a sufficient amount of silicone will prevent it from leaking. The only other thing I have that's working against me right now is the temperature. It's a little bit cold today, so hopefully it all cures all right. I'm sure it will. Anyway, I'm going to get started and go ahead and get these thrown back on. It is crazy how much difference just putting some different valve covers are. Makes this look way different than it did before. Now I've just got to do the carburetor, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it tonight because I'm running out of light. But I'm going to see how far I can get. I'll at least take this one off. I need to get the linkage off of this carburetor anyway because it's different on the Demon that I'm planning on putting on. But I'm honestly not even sure if the Demon's going to fit with that coil. I might have to adjust it. You'll notice I actually put that coil where it goes and removed the extra one. It was pretty straightforward. These actually had studs, which are nice. That's one thing I would recommend for anybody, is put a stud kit on their valve covers. So much easier, and it's just so much nicer when you have to pull them off and put them on. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to work. Okay, so I'm shut down for the night. The adapters I have and the carburetors I have will not work with this intake because it is just way too narrow right here. So it's for like a small square bore. And even though like this Demon is a square bore, and this one's supposed to be not a square bore, but it's still pretty square, they just won't fit. They're not near as small as this original AFB is. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. The reason the adapter won't work is because I need these narrow holes on the other side to actually have the square, the hex. No, let me rephrase that. I need them to be able to go through so I can have the hex on the outside hole so that it will mount to this flange or to these ones and be able to fit on here. So I need that to sit like that, but I need to be able to have bolts sticking out on the outside, and they won't. So I'm gonna have to figure out something different. It may just be that I need to go get some longer bolts and then run a bolt through the carburetor, gasket, base, gasket, and into the intake manifold. And that may be what I have to do just to make it work. I do think it will look kind of cool though. And then have that air filter assembly on there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But I'm shut down for the night. So I'll get back on it as soon as I can. Okay, so I'm back in business. Like I said, I needed a bolt that would go through this hole and this hole, so the narrow ones, all the way through the adapter and right into the intake manifold. So what I ended up doing is getting these Allen head. They're 2-inch long. They're 5/16 by 18 thread pitch, I believe. And those are going to work just right. But before I can mount it, I need to pull this little piece off here so that I have kick down and throttle. As you can see, this one was either for a manual or it's broke off because it's just got the throttle and no kick down. Anyway, so I'm going to hurry and get that done. And then I'm going to get the carb on and start working that out, see if we can get it fired up here in the next little bit. So another thing you always want to do when installing a carburetor, whether you're putting it right on the intake manifold, where you're putting it on a spacer, it doesn't really matter, is you want to make sure that the secondaries will open all the way and close all the way. I actually did this once and my secondaries got stuck open when I tested it on the road, and it was pretty frightening. So always just make sure that your secondaries will open freely and close freely. And normally I'd show you upside down on the carburetor and everything, but since this is a used carburetor, I don't want to flip it upside down and risk getting the sediments at the top of the carb. Then it could potentially not work. But it may not work anyway, so we'll see though. So the carb is mounted. Looks like there's good clearance everywhere. I do have to run a fuel line. I'm actually going to probably cut this about right here and flare it so I can put a fuel filter up right here by the carb. I still need to hook the linkage up, but everything looks like it's going to work all right. I'm really hoping to have this thing started here in just a few minutes. I probably won't have the choke going tonight, but basically I'll have the carb on. Now remember, this is just temporary. Eventually that dual quad is going to go on. I'm going to show you that a little bit more real quick, just because that is so cool. That is a real Mopar cast iron intake off of like a 361 or a 383 dual quad setup. I'm not sure if I'm going to use those carburetors or not, but I may. Overall though, it's just going to be cool. It's mostly for looks. I may put a cam in when I do that, but we'll see. Right now, this car is just fun. Later on the road, not on this episode, but I'm going to put headers on it and some other stuff, fix the brakes, and get this ready to drive. I may put a sugar grip unit in it. I'm not sure. We'll just see what it does. Anyway, back to it. So I have the carb on. I've got the throttle linkage all hooked up. I don't like how this is running here, so I may have to do something about that. Over here, I've got the fuel line hooked up. I did cut it, like I said, so I could put a filter in. Anytime you do that, be sure to flare that line just so that it has that little extra for the hose to grab. And then when you clamp it, clamp kind of by the flare so that it will keep it sealed. I have not started it yet. The very first thing I want to do is actually push the throttle pedal a couple times and make sure it doesn't bind up, because like I said, that's not fun. Okay, and it does indeed bind up. So the throttle pedal is stuck, so we don't want to start it like this. So let's see what we can do to render that. Yeah, so you can see it's all bound right there. Oh, the spring came off, so that's, wow. Somehow the spring got caught down here like that. That's kind of funny. So let's, oh, I see how I did that. Okay, so we're gonna run into problems with that. So I think I'm just gonna unhook it, try to start it just for fun, just for now, and then have to deal with that later. Okay, I did fire it up. I didn't have an extra hand, so I couldn't film it. Like I said, that was a used carburetor, and so it's kind of sticky, so it was pushing fuel out the float, which told me the float was stuck. And basically it's one of the only things that violence can kind of solve. You just tap with the screwdriver right there, and it made the float so it was unstuck. The other thing I'm doing right now, I'm just checking, make sure there's no fuel leaks other than right there where it was all over. One way you can do that, just a little tip, is you take carb cleaner and you spray around the base. And as you spray around the base, if there's a leak, then you'll notice your RPM change. So sounds pretty good. This carburetor is definitely better than the other one as far as RPMs. You can hear the secondaries when you play with it. Sounds pretty good. It's gonna sound way better with the headers. And I really think I'm gonna go with the purple hornies. I think that'll be a lot of fun. These things are already working their way loose, and it's only been running for about, I don't know, a couple minutes. So that may be a sign of things to come. Look at that, every single one of them's loose. They were all tight. And that's just from sitting there idling for a few minutes. That side's not as bad. Still doesn't quite sound right. There's something wrong with the timing. I think it's going to be fun to drive at some point, though. Anyway, I think I'm going to button a couple things up on it. And then you'll see it again for part 2 when I do some other stuff to it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow, subscribe, everything on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and right here on YouTube. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.